someone can get it started. Okay, I'll call the meeting of the Irvington Architecture Review Board to order. Just as a reminder, if you come up and are making a presentation to an application or your application, just please speak into the microphone, state your name. If you're, excuse me, if you're not the applicant, make sure you give us your name and who you represent. As is usually the case, we will go from continuations from previous meetings up to new matters. We will start with the continuation, and we will go in ascending order, in the order that the applications were received, so that will be 2001, 02, 03, and so forth. We'll start continuations down the bottom. ARB 19-53, 75 West Clinton Avenue. I'm not under the impression that anybody's going to be here tonight for that, so we'll skip that. At this point, the next item would be ARB 19-57, 16 North Astor. They have that architect has an application at the end of the meeting, so hopefully he'll show up and we'll do both at the same time. Okay, ARB 19-59, continuation, 2 Fargo Lane, Casazita LLC.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm Douglas Wright with Douglas Wright Architects. You received a full package, same size as what I will be presenting. This is an update from the previous, where you asked us to, consider certain items. So I'll just walk through the parts then. The plan is essentially the same. We have the lower plan showing the larger openings we're proposing for the indoor pool, and then the upper terrace with the new railings. This is the existing elevation with the small openings, and then that's the elevation with the proposed openings, metal and glass windows. We also included a window and door package at your request, and that is included in part of the package. Then this is 2 sheets showing the existing and proposed. Existing showing how the hill, cuts off a view of the lower portion, then the openings, existing railing, and then our proposed openings and metal railing.
Can I just ask you a question about the openings
Sure.
before you move on? I know the openings we were questioning. Have you changed them from the last proposal?
The openings are not different. No,
Yeah,
I mean we did do the brick base that you discussed. So we did make those changes to the brick base. The openings are the same, and then we have the muntins and framing. And then this one just shows the same view below, and then the straight-on view as best as we could get it at the elevation. And then the rest of the package shows the elevation, picking out the individual detail of the metal railings, whether it's the longer straight portions with a little medallion in the center. These are the larger designs over the piers.
On that larger design,
Yes.
is that to code? That looks like a bigger than a 4-inch opening.
What we usually do in cases like this is either add a little pier, or a second little metal vertical piece. But yeah, we're going to meet code. We have to meet code.
Right.
So we're not proposing not meeting code. And then that is the concept of the piece. It would be a painted metal railing with a little bronze finial on top.
And is there lighting on the lower level? I know that was the other question that we had.
There would be lighting at the doors, but we were trying to keep it as dark as possible. And then this was the section where you had asked how the ivy or other plants would grow on the wall. And so we have a section, we've used this in the past. It's basically a little metal pin and wire system. basically disappears, and then the vines are able to grow up, and that way they don't, grow into the wall itself. So it's just better for waterproofing and that sort of thing. And that's a sample of essentially what it would look like, really. And then that's a color that we're proposing for the stucco. Basically, we just want to sample the light limestone that's already on the house and have it basically match that.
Okay.
That's it.
Was there any other issues?
Yeah, I think those are the two big issues that I had noted the last time.
Yes, so has he covered everything that you?
Yeah, I have no question. I have, unfortunately, was not here at last meeting, but I do have notes from the previous group of people that were here, and I think you covered everything that we questioned. My only concern was, looking at that railing, that
Right.
the size of that opening kind of scares me a little bit, but I guess
Yeah,
you'll have to conform to code.
Right, yeah. Yeah, we have to.
We don't want any grandkids falling out
No, we don't.
falling out the hole. All right. Do I have any other questions for the board?
No, I think that's good.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve? Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay. What I will ask is that ARB 19-57, 16 North Astor, you have a proposal at the end of the meeting. Do you want to do them both together?
Oh, no, we can do the North Astor first.
Okay. I will call that now then. ARB 19-57, 16 North Astor Street. One thing that I want to be made aware right away, this is only a demo meeting, meaning we are only looking at and speaking to the issues of what the village calls a demolition, especially because it's a part of a contributing building in the zone, in the
historic district.
Historic district zone. And what they consider demolish is to pull down, raise, destroy, remove, or relocate any or all substantial portion of the building.
Correct.
In addition to that, any portion of the exterior wall, porch, or portico facing a public way, or 50% or more of the footprint of the building as measured in plan, or 50% or more of the exterior walls of the building. This does comply with these requirements because the front face, your
Correct.
new windows, new storefronts. So if they will not, I would normally open up I will open up a public hearing to discuss this. We will listen to your presentation. At that time, I will ask the board if they have any questions or concerns, and I'll then ask the public about questions or concerns. So why don't you go ahead with your presentation?
My name is Brandon Stewart. I represent Michael Lewis Architects and Julia Steinmetz, the owner of Jackson Strano LLC, who owns the property at 16 North Astor. When we were here 2 meetings ago, I kind of did an entire overview, and I guess I'll go through that again now that it's a public hearing with the
Just
public.
as I said, for the front face of
Okay.
the building, which is what is in contradiction as to what we consider.
Okay. And to be clear, is that a ruling can still be made in this meeting on the entire project, or
No, it's
this
got to
is
go,
just?
from what I understand, I was told today it has to go back to the planning board,
Yeah.
and then once they're done with it, it'll come back to us.
Oh, will it?
We will only look at the architectural issues of the building.
Okay.
The planning board speaks to complaints from neighbors that are
Of course.
losing sightlines and things of that nature. That's
Yeah, we had understood that we'd be returning to the planning board
You will be.
upon getting ARB approval, but it sounds like the final ruling
ARB
body
approval
will
for the
be...
demo. You can't go to the planning board unless we approve the demo plan.
Oh, Got it.
So we've looked at, your demo plans,
Yes.
your actual architectural plans, and I didn't see anything, but I'll open it
Okay.
up when we get to that point.
Okay.
Could I speak?
You are
Michael Lewis.
on the microphone, please.
I'm just a little confused that we're going back and forth several times. When we went to the planning board, they said, you guys are good, you just need to go to the ARB, get their approval, and then we're all set. So,
It's not the understanding that I was given by the building department today. You
so-
have a sign off from the planning board?
No, but they told us what we needed to get the sign off, which was basically.
Before they can hear it, the entire proposal, we have to sign off on the demo part of it. They can't even hear it until we sign off on the demo plan, which is what we're going to do tonight.
Okay, but they've already heard it.
They already heard what?
About everything we're planning to do. They've already seen the project.
Did they sign off on it?
No, they haven't signed off on it.
Okay.
Okay, so after they sign off on it, we have to come to you again?
It'll be short, yes, but yes, you will. Because they can make changes in the building that, that we aren't aware of. Until they finish, they're totally finished and signed off, and you have a declaration from them that they've heard the whole application. We can't see or listen to the
So then
architectural part.
after, if you haven't signed off on it,
I'm gonna
until they
off
sign off on
it.
it, they want you to sign off on it before they'll sign off on
You're-
it. That's what
you're
they told
conflating.
us.
Well, maybe you just misunderstood what they were telling you. They cannot hear the entire, they cannot sign off on it. They can hear it. They can't sign off on it until we give you a declaration that it's okay as far as the demolition is concerned.
Okay,
We've had issues in the past with people just demolishing a building and then going to the planning board without, and it ruffled all kinds of feathers, and now they want to make sure that, there's a whole list, I don't know if you've seen the demo, I'll read most of them, but there's a whole list of things that we have to make sure, we're not in
and
conflict.
that makes perfect sense. The part that doesn't make sense to me is when they said, okay, we're fine with it if the ARB approves the thing, that's all you need, and it's pro forma. And so now, I just don't understand why we have to get two separate approvals from you if you can see the whole thing and approve it as it is, and they're already fine with it.
Because
Why do we have to go back and
if we
forth?
approve it today, and you go to the planning board, and they make changes, you're gonna have to go back to us anyway.
That's right, but they've already said that they're
I'm
okay
only
with
telling you
all
what
that.
my policy, my procedure is, and that's what I was told.
All right.
Sorry.
I think I'm beating it to death here.
Yeah, and we were with the planning board, we've made 2 appearances there, but I guess we'll figure that out with Ed from there. So
That
to
was coming
just,
from Ed, by the way.
yeah. And Ed gave us some direction also at the last time we appeared, that it hadn't been a public hearing officially, notices hadn't been sent out, and so and the 15-day
Right.
notice, so.
But that's all as part of the demo plan approval.
Mhm.
Notifying your neighbors, and that's all part of the requirements of the demo plan. So that's,
Right.
like I said, the planning board couldn't do anything official until they received
course.
from me in writing that we've approved the.
Yeah, that's consistent with what they told us, of course, is that it's contingent on ARB approval. Okay. So, to just address then what's at the facade, the owner purchased a building, and it's her intention to strip the non-historic infill storefronts that exist and replace them with something more historic, and also restore the use of this existing drive that will be used by her and to access her unit on the 3rd floor. Other than that, work occurring at the 1st floor, no other work is to occur on the upper levels of the facade except for window replacements and general painting and repair of the various cornices and elements, which are in remarkably good shape as they stand. So here you can see again those storefronts being stripped out. Pilasters are to be preserved and to remain, as well as the cornice above them. This center bay, the narrowest bay here, will be recessed by 18 inches roughly to provide a ramp to provide ADA access to the commercial tenants at this floor. And this bay over here where the new garage will be inserted is recessed about 5 feet to provide for gas meters that Con Ed has required to be accessible from the street.
When you demo the windows, are the openings for the windows changing at all?
No.
We did discuss the last time that it will have the curve at the top of the window,
Okay, good.
not just the, I mean, the window will actually be curved at the top, not just.
Right.
Correct.
And we appreciate that, by the way.
Yeah, we looked at it closer per your recommendations, and we also think it's going to be worth it to go for it. So you can see now, slightly different than the elevation that you received the first round, where we do have the arched topped windows. Some of the, I guess, this isn't demolition anymore that we're talking about, but I'll just walk you through improvements that have been made since this body last reviewed the project. We have increased the amount of overall glazing as per your recommendations. We have differentiated the public door from these tenant-specific doors. Care has been taken around this garage door, which we also discussed in the previous meeting, is a you could call a violation of the traditional style of the rest of the first floor. But we discussed last time how we think it's a nice counterpoint. It'll be a frosted glass door that's recessed again with dark stucco finishes around it, and we think it adds a nice counterpoint on the facade. If we look at these elevations, you can see more about the demo.
If you go back to that list, Frank, I just want to point out something for future reference. See the how close the solar panels are to the front of the building?
Correct.
Just check the local code when it comes to that. If there's not something blocking them from the street view.
Oh.
They need to be back 4 feet, but just check.
Right.
You know.
We did see that in the code. And we thought it was 36, which is what they're set back now.
Are they set back 36?
Yes, they are. And this, of course, this view is very deceiving.
I know.
So this is kind of more the perspective view where they won't be visible. And I think we figured it's between 10 and 12 inches total rise from the face of the roof to the very top of the panel. So our studies indicate that they won't be visible from the street at all.
Just take a look at that code, that's all.
Great. And then there's other demolition occurring, but not that really pertains to the facade. Would you like me to walk through what's happening in the rear?
You can.
There's some concerns have been raised by a neighbor, and we've tried to address those in the form of a letter that will also be going before the planning board. And I believe that the neighbor may be here as well. So normally we would kind of address that and go through that whole letter. Would you like us to refrain from that?
Yeah,
in this meeting?
Because we can't make any changes to your drawing,
Right.
your plans based on that. That's the planning board's job.
Okay.
So
So then I guess,
I prefaced the whole, application before you started
Okay.
to make sure that, I don't want anybody, because it's a public hearing, the
Mhm.
demo. If it's a public hearing for anything that has to do with the demo of.
okay.
of-
So then I would
So-
just suggest that any comments made by neighbors that are possibly here today pertain only also to the demo of the facade
That's what I.
and not to the rear.
That's what I intended. That's
Perfect.
what I thought I said, but that's okay.
Great. Are there any other questions about the demolition facade?
You had a colorized version of.
Yes.
Yeah, those storefronts are considerably different than what they were.
Yeah, what they were is pretty cheap plate glass with thin aluminum in a very modern 60s type style, which
It's
was not
naturally-
historic. So there, it is a significant departure from that, which we think is appropriate.
And we're also glad you were able to keep the top part above that. That's the original?
This
Or-
cornice?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. We are introducing two different colors because currently it's quite large of just a single color. So this will, we think, break it up in a nice way as well. Again, this is more material that we'd like to talk more about, but it sounds like we'll hold that off.
Mhm. Okay, does anybody else on the board have any questions about the demo part of it? Okay. Okay, do I have any comments from the public about the demo part of the application? Yeah.
I'm Christina Lomolino, and I own the next door property at 20 North Astor, the property just north of 16 North Astor. But my concerns have to do with the demolition of the two-story building at the rear of the building. The proposal includes the demolition of the two-story building, which the building directly is at the property line and abuts my property. I'm wondering what kind of protections or barriers will be erected to contain debris, dust, and dirt from the demolition and the construction.
Okay.
What means and method would be used to demolish the large,
Facade?
no, it's a big, flue, a chimney.
Chimney?
At the rear of the property. Would there be any excavation or digging into rock that is anticipated? Is there an expectation that there'll be vibration monitoring? Both of the buildings are around 150 years old, and they're literally inches apart.
I'm not aware of any, explosive work that's going to be required on this. Anything of that nature? Use that other phone. The other one.
No, there's nothing like that proposed. And again, this was kind of part of our planned presentation, where we were going to talk about the protection measures and what kind of scaffolding will be used back there and how long your property might be impacted during construction and all of that. But again, that's at the rear of the property.
But it is still part of the facade, so it is
Oh,
something.
no. She's referring to all of the portions not at the facade. She's referring to the two-story
The interior of the building? Is the exterior of the building being removed and replaced?
At the rear, yes.
Okay, that we need to talk about that.
Okay, great. I thought you had said just the facade.
Well,
but
that's
we
not
can,
part of the building that I thought was coming, that was being, majorly renovated.
Okay. May I walk you through then the proposed demolition?
You want to finish your questions first, or?
Yeah, if I may, and then, maybe you can address some of them. I'm concerned about the vibration of the demolition and the construction and how it might impact these very old foundations. The tearing down of the chimney, how will that be done? Will there be protections and barriers to contain flying debris, dust and dirt, that kind of
All
thing?
that will be covered by the planning board, but yes.
Okay. Also, the dumpster. I saw in the drawings that the dumpster seemingly only took up one parking spot. However, there was recently some work done at this property where 5 parking places were out of commission, which really impacts the rest of the neighborhood and their ability to park. Obviously, these are all very old buildings that don't have driveways or garages. And also, what kind of access would be needed into the rear of my property to demolish the back wall when the 2-story building is taken down? Those are my questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, so I will just maybe read from portions of the letter that we submitted today. Hopefully, did you receive the letter that we emailed today?
No.
With the response? Okay. We basically outlined that the roofscape at the rear that's mentioned is in severe disrepair. It's vacant and hasn't been heavily modified for decades. It's logical for the current owner of the property to develop its potential, just as her neighbors to the north and south have with their properties, with appropriate changes to the rear area of the building. We believe the most significant impact of the proposed changes and demolition at the rear is the fact that we are removing bulk from the building rather than increasing it. Here you can see the existing roofscape. This is all 2 stories as opposed to the brick portion of the building, which is 3 stories. We're proposing to demolish this half of the rear all the way down to what could be considered the roof of the first floor, to allow for more light and air to enter the first floor spaces and the second floor commercial spaces. So we think it's a significant improvement that we're actually removing bulk in that area. Having said that, this wall that currently forms the north edge of the 2-story portion of the structure, the proposed height of the new wall that will divide the 2 is at the same height, and it runs the entire length. So essentially the views from the Ms. Lomolino's property towards ours, the height of the wall that they see will be the same all the way across. Though in some of her letters and ours, we've explained that wall is pretty heavily deteriorated, and obviously with sound construction of this wall, it will be much
How
more
is it going to be
solidly built.
deconstructed? From the inside?
From the inside. Everything will be done by hand in this area. I know there's been a lot of concern about vibrations and heavy excavation, but as you can see in the construction plans, there's no work proposed to the existing stone foundation of the building on any of the 3 sides in the back. Just local footings here and there for some steel posts that are going up in the center of the plan. The plan is to excavate those by hand and to not bring any equipment into the rear that would be detrimental to either our structure or the surrounding structures.
For the record, the building to the north is not directly upon your building?
At the front portion, it is. You can see a slight indication of it there.
Okay.
And then from there,
Actually, it's not. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Greg. There's just a 2-inch space.
Okay, so that's
Right.
pretty much what that's showing.
But in terms of front to back, the building to the north ends here,
Right.
and then is yard and garden that slopes up with the
But
slope.
from that point back is the part of the wall that you're going to be renovating, correct?
Correct.
Is the front part,
Yeah, everything this is the existing brick shell of the 3-story portion is not to be impacted except for the openings that we mentioned, and then openings at the rear as well.
So the wall that's in the backyard, that's part of the property that you're working on, not part of the neighbors?
Correct. As Michael explained, there's on the survey it shows a space. We're right against the building on this side, but the front of the building sits actually 6 inches back from the property line and a number of inches away from the structure on her property. In terms of there was a question about the means and methods for demolishing the chimney as well. That will also be done by hand, brick by brick, from top to bottom. Luckily, that structure sets in a good 3 or 4 feet from the property line, so that's luckily not right on the property line. And the wall that's being demolished along here is a frame wall. There's no masonry to be removed at that area. So it'll be stripped down basically to grade level.
Now you know why it's falling apart.
Yep. And then the new wall will be a stucco wall that will be again constructed to that same height. We've spoken to the GC that will likely be working on the project and worked out with him that we'll be using a type of scaffolding that's 24 to 30 inches deep, so it won't, for the time period where they do have to stucco the portion of the wall from the neighbor's side, it will be done with a type of scaffolding that minimally impacts and has a very small footprint into the other yard. And that process of actually having the scaffolding back there and the stuccoing of that side of the wall will be somewhere between 1 and 2 weeks is the anticipated impact.
Okay. Was there any other issues? Did you speak to all your issues, ma'am?
There were some other questions about the use proposed, but they're very much more questions for the planning board, I believe.
Probably. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I had a question about the wall that is going to be demolished. This wall is exactly at my backyard. And I'm wondering, I saw in the plans it was scheduled to be 12 feet 2 inches tall, but that it begins below grade, considerably below grade. It looked like 2/3 of it was below grade.
From our side, yes.
On your side, is that correct?
Yes.
So when you say it is at the same height as the existing wall,
Mhm.
do you mean the existing wall as measured from grade on my side to the top of the wall?
Let me show you on this elevation, it illustrates what we're talking about. Here we can see, here's the existing wall that forms the edge of our building, right? And it goes up to about that level. It's taller from our side than from your side. On your side, the grade follows the grade, so it gets the wall gets shorter and shorter from your side as you move to the east. From our side, the floor plane will be consistent all the way, so that's why the wall's taller from our side than from your side. But the actual top of it is, you can see, staying level at that same height. Here we can see a line indicating the approximate level of the grade at the east side of your property, sloping down to this line, which is the approximate level at the rear of your building, and this is the approximate level of your existing deck, which you can see is still significantly below that level that we're talking about maintaining.
Okay, I also have some questions about, now the commercial activity in this building, such as it was entirely encapsulated by the building. Now, there's a substantial open area at the rear, and some of it is commercial in nature. So there is a commercial space being created with a 450 square foot patio directly at the property line that is to be used by the commercial space. And I am wondering what sort of commercial space the builder had in mind that would use an outdoor space. I'm kind of concerned that it might be an outdoor cafe, an open-air cafe, or a bar restaurant, and we've never had a commercial activity of that type in that building. So that's one of my questions. Well, I guess I'll just hold off and let you answer that one if you would.
Sure. Yeah, the creation of those garden patios out there, it was a result of what we tried to do with getting light and air into the lower levels. We didn't set out to say at the beginning of the project we need to have this amount of square feet for all of these spaces. It's kind of what was left over in order to get the light and air into the lower spaces. In terms of the use, the current use, this is again more of a planning board question, but the current use is commercial/retail. The use that we're proposing now is commercial/retail/residential. The only change to use is the residential component. In order to have something like a restaurant or a cafe, it would necessitate another change, a different type of change of use with a different approval that we're not seeking from the planning board currently. It would be a more heavy-hitting approval process if we were proposing that type of use. So in summary, the type of use that I think maybe you're a little worried about is currently not permitted in the existing and not permitted in the proposed either.
And I don't think you'd ever get a restaurant there because you need parking spaces and you just don't have them.
Right.
So that's one of the things I don't really think you need to worry too much about, but.
Mm-hmm. And in the letter that you'll see in your email, it states that fairly explicitly, that the current intention of the current owner is not to convert that into a restaurant or a space like that. And if it were to be for a future owner of the property, they would have to go through several rounds of boards with the village in order to get that approved.
That's correct. Anything else? Okay, so I think most of your questions are going to be for the planning board, but you'll see it on the agenda when it comes out next. Anything else?
Um,
Go ahead. Anybody else from the audience? From the public? Okay. Anybody else? Questions?
What's the proposed timing for the demolition? Length of
We looked at that in a very rough sense at the beginning of the project. I think initially we were talking something like 3 weeks for the total dismantling of the rear area, and then the actual construction timeline, I think, varies depending on the different people we've spoken to that might do the job. But again, I think it's the portion of the work that will significantly impact our neighbor is, and will require some work to happen on her side of the property line, again, is fairly certainly to be between 1 and 2 weeks.
Okay. Any other concerns, questions from you? Okay. At this point, I will make a motion to approve the demo plan. Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
I need to send a written approval from the board, but if you speak to Ed tomorrow, I can tell him that it's been approved.
Okay.
And that he can get you on the
To proceed to planning again.
planning board. But
Okay.
I will certainly have that for.
Okay. Thank you.
It looks beautiful. And thank you, by the way.
Thank
I
you.
was very upset about the building that was torn down next to it. Because
Oh,
we own a
which-
building a couple of doors away, so.
Yes,
Which is what
It's nice to
precipitated the demo.
Yeah.
the demo permit in the historic zone, yeah. Okay.
Okay. Okay, let's move on to, I think we're now at the new matters, ARB 2001, 301 Riverview Road, solar panel.
Hi, I'm Stacy Varian. I'm representing Tesla Energy.
How you doing? My name is Camille Gelada. I'm also representing Tesla Energy.
So we're proposing to do an 11.34 kilowatt solar array with 36 panels, all on the rear of the home. That's us. the last one.
Yeah, I need this stuff somewhere. I think, in my opinion, 301 Riverview is significantly out of the zone where we're concerned about people seeing.
Yeah, it's on the end of the street, and there's one house next to it, and there's trees covering the whole back of it, so I'm certain no one will see it.
One of my questions was, go over the documents here, you show us the height of the brackets that are gonna hold the cells. At no point, or at least I can't find it, where it says how thick the cell itself is. Because we do have, on pitched roofs, we do have, excuse me, a requirement that from the roof face to the top of the panels, no more than 6 inches. And I just need to know what you have.
And they're also adjustable. We have about 2 to 3 inches of play with them.
Okay, but you're showing 4 inches on that bracket, and I assume that's the high point. But yet, no, I don't see anywhere here. Can you look at the documents and see if anywhere in your documents you show the actual? Normally, they're between 1.5 inches and 2 inches.
Right. Yeah,
You know what, look at this. I may have answered my own question.
yeah, so are you looking at the third
Last
page?
Third page? Yeah, that's where I see the 4 inches. But I don't, that's to the bottom, according to that section, it's to the bottom of the panel.
I think I just answered my own question. I looked at the very back page.
The spec on the panel itself?
Yeah. I didn't see it before, but I think I see it now. Upper right-hand corner of that next page. You really have a sense of humor with the size of that.
I know, they're very small, the
Even with my glasses
specs.
on, I can barely see.
I know.
Are my eyes telling me it's 1.57 inches?
Yep,
Yes, that's correct.
that's correct, yeah.
So then, even with the 4 inches, that 1.57 is within the 6 inches.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. Did anybody have any questions? I'm gonna check one more thing before. I think you had an elevation
Mm-hmm.
looking from the front of the house.
Elevation.
Yeah. I just wanted to make note that the panels are showing, even
Uh-huh.
and as close to the roof line as possible. I checked this fire setbacks, that's all. That's all
Okay.
good. So as far as I'm concerned, I've been satisfied. Anybody else on the board? I know this was sent out to your neighbors, so I will ask anybody in the audience have any questions, concerns about this? Okay, I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Okay. Moving on, ARB 20-02, 92 Dogwood Lane. Token retaining wall.
I actually have a better printout than I think I gave you guys. You can get a clear copy. My printer was,
Yeah, well, you
ink
was
was
you
used up on my
serious,
kids.
serious
Printers
printers.
are stuff on the printers.
There you go.
Thank you.
This is better.
I'll show them.
Yeah, that's considerably better.
All right, so my name is Mike Monero. I'm the property owner of 92 Dogwood Lane. I've been in that residence for 3 years. We moved in and found, if you open to this picture here, we have dilapidated railroad tie, rotten wall with exposed nails all over the place. I got 3 kids and 11 nieces and nephews in this town crawling over my property. When they built this, they actually didn't put anything behind it, so it's literally just dirt on the wood. So we were going to replace it with railroad ties, but we wanted to upgrade the appearance because my neighbor, Chris, actually, I'm sorry, next page here, just one note I want to make is this yellow line here. This is town property, so I guess I'm responsible for the town wall and property here, and so I'd be paying for and upgrading the wall there. But it's,
Obviously taking into consideration the water.
yes, that's right. And if you just look on this, I took a picture of the sort of, I guess they call it landscape mode. This is my neighbor to my left. He's got a rock wall that he put in. What I'm going to propose in the end is actually prefabbed concrete that looks like rock. And then to the right, my neighbors who have like they have a cement house over here. It's like a,
Right.
I don't know what they call this, but he has no wall. And if you look to, I just have like a close-up of each of their properties. My neighbor Chris here has sort of like a different colored wall here, and I want to kind of match his look and the wall that I have out front. And then again, there's nothing here on the right. They just have the natural rocks in the front there. So the last page is sort of what we're envisioning with this matrix prefab, and really what this would do is we've also got, if you could see it in the first, we've got this rotten stairways that everyone's walking up and down, so we'd like to replace it with something,
Are you putting a railing?
absolutely, yeah, because my 88-year-old father-in-law lives with us as well, so he's got to get up and down, and the mailman, of course, too.
Yeah, I
So-
know there's a railing now, it doesn't look like much though.
Yeah,
So-
it's a little,
I would
so-
imagine,
yeah.
right. And do you have a sample of the material, the stone, the matrix stone?
I did not bring any, a sample of the, it's prefab cement, so it's like, I guess it's poured and it looks like, I don't know if you can see this picture, it looks like.
See in the picture, it
Yeah.
just would be nice to, to see the.
I think I gave you guys a brochure
You
too.
do need to see,
You need to see one of the rocks, or,
well, we need to see the railing.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the railing and the rocks.
Are you matching with the town? Are you changing the town?
Not gonna change the town, because that's actual stone, so for us to do stone would
So
be
you're only replacing where the wood wall.
where the wood wall was. So the reason why we're here is if I had, we're not doing any size or nothing's changing, it's because I'm replacing the material. Otherwise, it would just be a straight replace. So we're not touching the wall, but it will, from an analogous color schema, we're picking this here, which kind of matches like the rust and mixed gray as best as possible. But it would be quite pricey for the whole
Yeah.
thing.
So, let me point out where, this wall looks like it goes all the way across.
Yeah, so what we would do is, actually, if you see this is only two beams here. It's not really a wall. Yeah, so the wall goes here, here, and then this is the stone. I'm sorry. I'm not great at reading these. Okay, so this is all wood, that will be replaced. You've got a wall here that actually fell down. And then this wall that goes across here, it like kind of splits and goes across here, then
Right where you see this is a new wall.
That's right, I'm sorry, yeah, exactly, this wood stuff right here. And then this is his stone wall that was, I guess, here from when they probably built the house.
I think that I know the house, and I certainly understand your dilemma, and I think you came up with a good solution. I just would feel a little more comfortable if we could see a sample of the stone, because they are really abutting the natural stone.
Sure,
I mean, obviously our first choice would be natural stone, like those big boulders like your neighbor has. But-
I got two kids, I
Exactly.
so it's wall at
Well,
college, right?
And the dollars just don't make sense,
Yeah,
obviously.
that's what our
Yeah.
we wanted something that was sustainable and not rotten and but also
Yeah,
aesthetic.
much better than wood, so,
So if you could just come back with a sample of the stone.
Sure.
And something
thank you.
showing the railing.
Sure,
And-
okay, and a mock-up with the railing. Okay, no problem. All right, so I'll try and get on the next. All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Is he on it because we didn't,
What?
is he on next time already then? We just didn't say anything.
You want to take some extra copies back?
Yeah.
Sure, lunch.
I can't put it back in the printer.
Keep this.
They just print, they use my printers all the time. Thank you, guys.
Okay. I don't believe we are going to hear the next application, ARB 20-03, One Bridge Street awning. I didn't think so. At this point, we're looking at ARB 2004, 35 Matheson Park.
Good evening. I'm Howard S. Robb Jr. I am the architect for Andrew Ruska. You have drawings, and it also has a sheet showing all the surrounding neighbors. We're here for a skylight, or a roof window. We're trying to satisfy the egress requirements from the third floor. And that's basically it. I did submit, I believe, catalog cuts for the Velux unit. And it only comes in one color, which is bronze. Which is bronze, yes, that's the unit. And this is the color.
What's the roof material?
It's a timberline asphalt architectural.
a little confused with where the skylight is. Is it on the chimney side of the house, behind the chimney?
Okay, it is on the side of the house and it's behind the chimney, yes. It's positioned so that it can open though, otherwise.
So you're showing it on this drawing to the right of it so you can actually show it.
Yep, yes. No, it's another drawing for,
Yeah, but we'd be asking other questions if we didn't have.
yep.
Anybody, any questions?
I just wondered, did the neighbors know that you're doing it? I mean,
I doubt it, unless you people have notified them or
Not
this
a
is.
requirement.
Yeah, okay.
Anything? Questions?
no, not at all.
All right, do I have, motion to approve? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, sure, I'll thank you. Thank you. Good night. Thank you. Okay. We're going to the next application, and that is ARB 2005, 10 Hancock Place, exterior elevation changes, which could mean a host of things.
It's pretty minor.
What?
Pretty minor.
Yeah.
James Crabb, Studio Park for Richard Hancock. So this is over in Ardsley Park. Pretty classic colonial. The owners had settling over time along this exterior porch. Basically, the drainage, there's presently a waterproof membrane roof behind this parapet. You can see the two doors here. So it's a balcony, but it only has like a 20-inch tall parapet, so it doesn't have an appropriate railing. Over time, this is settled. It needs to repair the roof purely maintenance-wise, but they want to upgrade what's happening on that balcony, put decking on it, and then put an appropriate railing on it so that they can inhabit the space. They don't really use it right now. So most of this is maintenance, and then the only part that's like visual to anybody is really this address. So you can see this is the old elevation. You see existing parapet. There's a trellis that nothing is growing on right now. That is also in disrepair. It is being removed. Everything else remains in kind. All the trim, columns, existing railing, parapet, even copper cap. All of the railing that we're proposing is on the interior of the parapet. So essentially what you're going to see is 22 inches of newel post and rail, all painted white to match cedar, which is what the entire existing house is. It's just a 1-by-1 square foot.
So these doors exist already?
Right there. So right now, it just goes out to the membrane roof on the finish.
They're French doors? I wasn't sure if they were windows or doors.
Yeah, you just can't see it from perspective.
Yeah.
And honestly, now you can see them. They have a huge willow out front and a huge, I believe this is a oak right here. You can almost not see it when it's spring or summer. Right now, everything's down, so you can see through it. It's pretty unobtrusive.
Do you have anywhere on the drawings where you show the decking material and the railing and cap material?
It's on the last page. The section, the railing and cap material is just wood painted to match, so it's painted white. The decking that didn't include the spec, what we're proposing is Trex Winchester gray. It's essentially Right now, the old deck on the bottom, which we're not touching, is a painted gray. It's just natural painted gray. I think you can see it here a little bit. But you actually can't see the decking from anywhere because the parapet's totally enclosed. The first one is solid. So you're only able to see 18 to 20 inches of exposed railing where you can actually see through.
All right, I will add to the application the fact that the decking is Trex Winchester brick. And you said the actual material of the fence is a wood, it's going to be finished?
Cedar painted white. Everything painted to match existing. The whole house is white, except for the shutters, front are black. Everything.
Caps also?
Cap everything.
Any questions?
Looks appropriate.
No. Okay. I will make a motion to accept the application as amended. The amendment will be just the material of the decking and the fencing, railings that are going to be around, and then Trex Winchester gray and cedar painted white, including the caps. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good to go, thank you. I think we can come to the last, ARB 2006, 9 Beechwood Road. Bear with me 1 second before you start. Actually, a nice segue from the last application, this one, because they also asked you for a sample of the Trex and the color and the sample of the railing.
Yes.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay. Hello again, Brandon Stewart representing Michael Lewis Architects and the owners at 9 Beechwood Road, Daniel and Kelly Politzer. Daniel and Kelly recently had twins, adding to their, so now they have 4 children total, necessitating a slight modification to their house. What's proposed is a 1-story addition on the east side of their house. It's a center hall colonial. The proposed addition matches the main house in every sense, with the roof pitch, siding color, trim, windows, all around. We're also proposing to remove the existing bluestone walkway that goes to the street and relocating it here to connect these existing steps, which currently lead to just lawn, to connect that stairway to the existing front porch. And here again is that 1-story addition, and also in the rear of the house you can see the line of the existing deck, which goes back quite a ways and is oversized for what the owner needs and wants, and so we're proposing a deck which is shorter and closer to the house, at the same level of the existing deck across the entire back of the house. In terms of trees and plantings, we've taken care to preserve and protect these 4 large trees at the front of the house. All construction access is proposed through the driveway and around the back, so this is to not be impacted. Here we can see the addition, the plan of it on the inside. It's just open to an existing playroom and includes a bath and closet with windows on both sides. And in the basement, incidentally, there's also some proposed finished storage beneath the new addition. And again, here we can see the deck, the proposed deck shape. There are no changes proposed to the rear of the building. All the existing doors and windows along the rear are proposed to remain.
Could you give us a little information about that window well detail?
Sure. Yep, it's just a corrugated window well. This comes from the manufacturer. Gravel in the bottom, ladder, and a clear cover. It meets code in terms of the sill and the depth and is deep enough for the casement window to open within. And again, that sits just above grade, just like a typical window well. It shouldn't be visible from neighboring properties, and again faces the rear of the property. Here's the elevations. Here's looking from the neighbor to the east. Here you can see the addition matching in style, overhangs, details all around. There's a little detail here. It sets back from the main house 14 inches, I believe, and is contained on the other side by the existing brick chimney. And there's a little detail of some dark painted stucco to achieve that transition between the two elements. Here we can see it from the front, and we've called out the Stonington gray clapboard siding to match the existing Stonington gray clapboard siding, which has been repainted within the last couple of months. Dove white trim, that's vertical trim and window trim, and then we have Spice Rum colored decking in the back with a Trex aluminum black railing, and also black vinyl shutters to match the existing vinyl shutters on the house. I believe you can see those also on the existing photos of the house that were submitted as well.
Questions? Ready?
The new roof is the same GAF timber line as the existing?
Yes, pewter, I believe, yes. Pewter is the color that will match the existing.
That's on the drawing?
Yes.
More questions from the board? I will make a motion to approve. Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Do you want the plans back?
Oh, yes, that.
What's the address? Oh, this is
So, 19-53 was, no material received. 92 Dogwood Lane. That's it. That's the continuation, and 1 Brick Street was a no. Okay. As I alluded to earlier, I don't know, did you meet the?
Not yet.
Not yet?
How you doing? Mike Sirota.
Mike is a new alternate. Deb was called away to her in-laws. Mother's not feeling well. I don't know whether it's all the smoke she's inhaling because she's in Australia. At any rate, yeah, so she's that's where she is. And just a word of note, I was here for the planning board meeting, the last planning board meeting. And guess what they used? PDF versions of the drawings, which was nice to see.
For one.
2 or 3, actually. There was at least, well, it was 2, but it was 2 applications, but it was 2, the same architect, I think.
But I think there was another one too, but it was nice to see we're heading in the right direction.
Did they have paper copies of the submissions, or were they also digital?
Those were, you're talking about the actual drawings, that's
Yeah.
what they were using on the.
That's what I mean, but did the planning board members receive?
Yes.
They
I believe
did.
they still did. I think they did, right? Yeah, they must have, because.
I mean, we'll adjust, it's just, you know.
It's just.
I'm not sure if they all got it or if they took that, they only got two or what the story was. It's easy into it. All right.
They usually all get a copy, right?
We're trying to get it down to 5 copies max across the board.
Okay.
5 or 6, something like that, which would mean they wouldn't get a copy anymore. It'd be a master copy for the board.
Of course, they did a little ribbing to the local architects who didn't have their drawings electronic, only the out of town, I shouldn't say out of town.
Yeah, I probably not.
Christina Griffin had the,
Terrific.
yeah, so, and she did have two
My
applications.
son does those directly now, so.
Anybody have anything new to, as I said, I don't know whether, were you here when I said that? Or, once again, I have a mental block on this guy.
James,
who was in front of us tonight, is no longer an ARB member. I'm not, yeah.
when did he become a local architect?
He's
Or is
been,
this?
he's been Studio Park. Actually, he used to work with or for Andrew back in the day, when Andrew was at Studio Park.
Yeah.
And now they're, you know.
But they just been getting more business in the village.
He also has 2 more applications that he's working on that could become big,
So then it was
big projects.
I think he was a little nervous, I feel bad.
Oh, he definitely was nervous tonight.
Yeah.
It really isn't, I mean, he's sitting here, so he's, you know, he knows what's coming.
Yeah.
It's not like we're gonna hit him with anything.
Which one was?
No, but if it just happened
Which-
an
what
hour,
address was it?
an hour before we got here, I'm sure it
10
would do
here.
it all.
10.
The one that I approved,
Yeah, you added the.
based on the change, yeah.
And what he said in his resignation letter was that if his business, you know, in Irvington,
Wayne's.
basically Wayne's, right, that he's more than, willing and anxious to become available.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's nice. Good.
Yep, he went back and forth between Larry and I about, what he had to do, and regrettably, it was obvious,
Well, if he is more than John Peckin, it wasn't just an
Yeah.
isolated.
Yep. Work comes first. Anything else new? Old? You got any more? Okay.
What's the timing that you guys distribute the plans before the meeting?
You usually get them on the Wednesday or Thursday before the meeting.
Okay.
You will not automatically get
Right,
it unless
right.
I know somebody's not coming to that meeting way ahead of time,
Okay.
and I can have the building department change the, yeah, I know they know who you are because you have a nameplate, so it's a good sign.
And if you're ever stuck at trying to take my number, you know, you could share,
Yeah. Thank you.
Because sometimes the person who's not going to be there isn't around, and it's, once in a while, there's a little bit of a glitch, so.
And like I said, I'm always here by 7:30, so worst comes to worst, you can always come and ask, review my packet before the meeting starts.
Okay.
Yeah.
If it's a last minute, yeah. Motion to adjourn, second? All in favor?
Aye.